Ian Rappaport reported news that was already broken last week that all NFL training camps will be opening on July 28th. I heard that information from a source. A source told me that about a week and a half ago that July 28th is the reporting date. Joining us in studio, I'm not saying this guy was the source. I would never give up my source, but a man who is potentially going to go into his 12th season in the NFL, Mr. Alan Quay, A.Q. Shipley. AQ, you had a heads up from me, I assume, about the July 28th training camp check-in?
I was told by you, who told me, who I told you, and you told me.
Yeah, you did tell me that news after I already said it. You weren't the source, obviously. You would not leak things like that to me. That is not how a friendship relationship would work. No. But how did you know that was going to happen? If it wasn't from me, was there a memo sent out for the NFLPA and the NFL? Like, how have the conversations gone? You've been in the league 11 years now, okay? You're a guy who's a current free agent. You have a couple options to kind of figure out what you want to do going into the season. But right now, we're in a different time. Adam Schefter just reported that the Hall of Fame game was canceled. Real shame for those players that didn't have to play in that game. I bet you they're very upset about that.
That was the most miserable game I've ever played in my entire life. And I never even stepped foot on the field.
But you got to go to training camp a week early. Yep. You got to act like you're doing stuff for 6 days until the Hall of Fame game. And then after that, it's like, okay, now training camp begins. But it's all a big waste of time. They canceled that game. So now everybody's like, well, the NFL is bowing down to COVID-19, which they were never going to do. I think getting rid of the Hall of Fame game is potentially not bowing down, but maybe saying, like, you're welcome to the players. Like, we're going to go through some stuff here. You don't have to play in this game that means absolutely nothing. Although Hall of Fame game weekend is getting postponed, which I enjoy watching Hall of Fame. I like the speeches. I like doing all that. Hall of Fame game is something that we can all just kind of get by. But for you, what has the conversation been like? Do you guys just get like an email, like a heads up, like, hey, if you haven't noticed, like in Phoenix, where you live, the COVID-19 cases are just skyrocketing, so we have to be a little bit more careful. Is that an email that you get? Like, what are the players getting right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really exactly what the players are getting. I'm not a current player right now, so I'm not getting a lot of this stuff. So I'm getting a lot of the hearsay from the guys, right? So I think it's all been just constant communication amongst teams and players, and I've just kind of been getting the second win conversations from everybody else. Because
you're not currently on a team. Yeah. So friends of yours that are on teams are like, hey, this is what we're hearing, conversations, group text messages, stuff like that.
Bingo.
July 28th is reporting for everybody's training camp.
I heard from you, which then I told you and you told me. And then
and Rappaport gives us no credit.
Unbelievable.
Rappaport gives us no credit.
Learn the internet.
Learn the insider game.
I mean, geez.
I will say this. Training camp since the beginning of time report July 27th to roughly August 1st. So
I mean, I wasn't exactly talking rocket science.
Yeah, it wasn't. When I broke that news with AJ Hawk, McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk, AJ laughed in my face whenever I broke that news. I was like, AJ, just wait. This is breaking news here. And AJ's like, well, isn't this always when we report training camp? I'm like, yep, but every year it's a breaking news thing. That's just the way it goes.
See, but the thing is it's usually... it's based off your first preseason game, right? So if you play on a Thursday, you report on a Wednesday or whatever it is, right? If you play on a Friday, Thursday.
There's a window.
15
There's
days.
that window, right? So everybody reports on different dates. It's like 7 teams, whatever it is, right? And so this time, it's every team on this date. So that's that's a first, right?
And are rookies checking in earlier?
I think they're like a week earlier.
So, because the rookies always have a week in advance, both OTAs-wise, they're in there as soon as they get drafted, and then for training camp, they always have like a rookie mini camp a couple days beforehand where they kind of get learned up, run their conditioning tests and all that stuff. A week ahead of time. That'll be July 21st. That'll be early.
It's coming up real quick.
How you feeling? You feeling fat or in shape?
I feel great.
You look good.
See, this is the thing that like most people don't realize. If you took advantage of this time to train, normally you go through, the OTAs and the minicamp, and most of the work is on field, right? So you miss that window of lifting. So you lift all that offseason to get ready for OTAs, and then it's basically like 2 days a week or whatever it is just to kind of maintain because the focus is on field.
Meeting, walkthrough,
all that
field.
Stuff.
That is the focus as opposed to your body.
As opposed to lifting and doing all that stuff. So you kind of you lose a little bit there, and then you got to ramp it up again right before training camp. Well, if you took advantage of this time, you could be in some pretty stupid shape right now, which I think a lot of guys have.
Well, Aaron Rodgers talked about that. Mm-hmm. Whenever he gave his interview, he said that, this is actually providing quite an opportunity for him to work on himself more than he's ever worked in the past.